Okay. Fractions. Most people have a hard time with fractions. So if you're one of those people, don't feel too bad. It takes a long time to get, well, not a long time, but it takes a while to get um, a good handle on fractions. So I'm going to help you through this problem. The first thing that you need to know about combining fractions is that you have to have the same the same denominator all the way through. Okay, here we have different denominators, so you've got to find the common denominator. Let me see how many terms we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 terms. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to write 6 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might want to do this on a separate piece of paper because this is going to take us a lot of room. Okay. Now what I need to look at is a number that all of these are factors of. You might not understand what I'm saying, so let me explain it to you. What I mean when I say a number where 4, 6, 12, 2, and 3 are factors of, a factor is like, let's just grab the number 12, right? The factors of 12 are 3 times 4, 2 times 6, and 1 times 12. Those are all factors of 12 because when you multiply 3 and 4, you get 12. When you multiply 2 and 6, you get 12. And when you multiply 1 and 12, you get 12. Okay? So you've got to find a number. The common denominator has to be a number where 4, 6, 2, and 3 are factors of. Now, the way to find that number, you're thinking, well, that's going to be hard. Well, there's kind of like shortcuts. What you do is you always start with the bigger denominator, the biggest denominator. And here the biggest denominator is 12. Sometimes the common denominator is the biggest denominator. Okay, so when you see a fraction, always zero in on the biggest denominator. When I looked at this equation, the first thing that popped out to me was the biggest denominator, okay, because that's what we want to focus on. So here I found the 12 denominator, the biggest denominator, and then I factored it. I found all the factors are 12. 3, 4, 2, 6, 1, 12. If you notice, 6 is a factor of 12 because it's right here. 4 is a factor of 12. We have it right here. 2 is a factor of 12. We have it right here. And 3 is a factor of 12. Okay? And obviously 12 is a factor of 12. That's a given. So that means that 12 is our common denominator because 3, 2, 6, and 4 are factors of 12. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 12 here, because that's my common denominator, right? 12 in under all of these lines. 12, 12, 12, 12. Okay. Now the next step is figuring out, now that we found our common denominator, the next step is figuring out what our new numerators are going to be. Because when you change the denominator, the numerator is also going to change. So we change the denominator in this one. And how do we figure out what our new numerator is? Well, what you do is you multiply whatever you multiply the 3 by to get 12. In other words, what's the other factor of 12 that you multiply by 3 to get 12? Well, the other factor is 4, because 4 times 3 equals 12, right? We have it right here. So what you multiply the denominator by to get 12, that's what you're going to multiply the numerator by. So since we multiplied the denominator by 4 to get 12, we're going to multiply the numerator by 4 to get our new numerator. So 1 times 4 is 4. So that's our new numerator there. I'm going to put our A here. And then for the next one, what did I multiply 2 by? I multiplied it by 6, right? Because 2 times 6 is 12. So that's what I'm going to multiply the numerator by. I'm going to multiply it by 6. So that's going to give us 1 times 6. So our new numerator here is going to be 6a. And since this is positive, because I know it's positive because there's no sign in front of it, and since this is positive, I know it's positive because there's no sign in front of it, I'm going to put a positive here. Now this one's negative because it has a negative sign, so I'm going to put a little negative right here. Now I'm going to ask myself, well, what did I multiply 12 by to get 12? Well, you multiply 12 by 1, correct? Correct, because that's what 12 times 1 is what equals 12. So if I multiplied let me erase this arrow. Since I multiplied the denominator by 1, I'm going to multiply the numerator by 1. So 7 times 1 is 7. You notice how this one didn't change. The fraction where the common denominator is used doesn't change. It stays the same. You notice 7 over 12 here, 7 over 12 here, and 7 over 12 didn't change because we're using 12 as a common denominator. All right. Now, What did I multiply 6 by to get 12? I multiplied by 2, so that's what I'm multiplying numerator by 2. That's going to give me 2 times 5 is 10. So that's my new numerator. Put an A here, A here. And since there's no sign here, I know it's positive, so I'm going to put a positive sign. Finally, I multiplied the 4 by 3, and that gives me 12, so I'm going to multiply numerator by 3. That's going to give me 9, so that's 9 here. And 3 over 4 is negative, so I'm going to put a negative sign. And then you're thinking, well, what about this say? There's no fraction there. Well, there kind of is. It's just not written. The fraction is 1 over 1. What's 1 over 1? 1. 1 times A is A. So the fraction is 1 over 1. So what do you multiply the 1 by to get 12? You multiply it by 12, right? 1 times 12 is 12. And what do you multiply this? What do you multiply denominator by to get 12? You multiply numerator by to get 12. So I'll multiply numerator by 12. 1 times 12 is 12. So I've got 12. Oops. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So I've got 12 over 12. Okay. And this A does not have a sign in front of it. You see no sign? So that means it's positive. I'm going to put a positive here. Now I'm going to add all my numerators. Okay. And that's going to be my answer. So let's add them. Or not add them, but combine them. 4 plus 6. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 plus 10 is 13. 13 minus 9 is 4. And 4 plus 12 is 16. That took me a little too long. All right. Okay, so our answer is 16 over 12a. That's my answer. Now you could reduce that. You're like, oh no, what do you mean by reduce? Okay, the way you reduce is you find a number that goes into 6 and 12. That let me give you another way. Let me say it a different way. You find a number that is a factor of both 6 and 12. Let me explain. Let me find all the factors of 16. Well, 2 is a factor of 16, right? Because 2 times 8 is 16. 4 is a factor of 16 because 4 times 4 is 16. So I'm going to write all these factors down. 8 is a factor of 16, right? And I think that's it. Those are all the factors of 16. Then I'm going to write all the factors of 12. Okay, 2 is a factor of 12. 3 is a factor of 12 because 3 times 4 is 12. 4 is a factor of 12 because 3 times 4 is 12. And 6 is a factor of 12 because 2 times 6 is 12. All right. Here, you notice I didn't write the 4 twice because 4 times 4 is 16. I'm just going to write it once. Now I look at all the factors, you see, and I find the biggest common factor, and the biggest common factor is 4. So once I know the biggest common factor, which is 4, I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by the common factor, and that's going to give me my reduced fraction. 16 divided by 4 is 4, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So my answer in reduced form is 4 over 3a. I hope you get it. If not, just ask me in class and I'll explain it to you further. Okay, here you got 14x minus 7x. That 14 minus 7 is 7. And then since the bigger sign is positive, you got a positive 7x, right? But now you have a negative 3x. So positive, when the signs are different, you subtract. So positive 7x minus 3x is 4x. And it's going to be a positive 4x because the bigger number is positive. So now I've got a positive 4x. Positive 4x minus 15x. The signs are different, so we're going to subtract. 15 minus 4 is 11x. But since the bigger number is negative, I'm going to make it a negative 11x. Now I have a negative 11x plus 12x. The signs are different, so I'm going to subtract again. 12 minus 11 is just 1, or 1x. And since the bigger number is positive, I know that my answer is positive. It's going to be a positive x. I don't write the positive because it's already understood to be positive. When you don't write the positive, it's understood to be positive, so you don't have to write it. I'm going to do this one quick because we're running out of time. Positive 4 minus 10 is a negative 6a squared c. Negative 6a squared c. Positive 6a squared c just cancels out. It equals 0. Negative 9a squared c plus a squared c. We subtract because the signs are different. That's going to give us a negative 8a squared c. And that's our answer.